Morning, y'all. I'm up bright and early today. See, I've got all these tomatillos and I've got some heirloom tomatoes, fresh from the garden, like so big they're ready to burst. And I have, isn't that beautiful? Now that is beautiful. And I also have a bunch of eggplants and some greens and some Swiss chard and stuff. And it's like prepping time, but every day is prepping time for me. See, this tomatilla is green. This one is not green. Sometimes you might find them in there a little purpley. Looks kind of like a tomato. Tastes a whole lot like delicious, except it has a skin on the outside of it, which we know tomatoes don't be having this skin on the outside of it. It's a product of Mexico, which is now grown oftentimes in my own community because people have garden plots and so they'll grow stuff. But then if they grow too much, they're like, hey, take a little bit of this stuff because they can't it's more than they can handle. And if people aren't really preppers and they just go on the day by day, they just don't care and don't want to deal with the rest of it. So sometimes you're able to get a nice deal. This nice deal came from my neighbor though, downstairs. We get produce, and we tend to share it because oftentimes when we get it, the harvest is plentiful. It's very plentiful. That scripture, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Kind of like that. People don't want to be bothered with doing this, but this little process will provide me with some goodies that I can put away for later, where I can make some green salsa and eat them fresh. They are delicious to eat fresh. Well, the other day, and check this out. Isn't this beautiful? Big and beautiful. Not a tomatillo, obviously. Um, but anyway, the other day I was going through Target. I stopped by there to pick up a few little things and bumped into this man that was there at the same time. And we're both exclaiming, about how little there was on the shelves. And he said, I didn't realize it was this bad. We got to talking a bit. Turned out that the man drives for a major food company, delivering food from one location to another. Now, I won't say what the name of that company is, because I don't want to cause any problems for him or that company. I don't have that company's permission to be straight out talking about this sort of thing, even though I'm telling you that it's real. So he drives for this major food company, which if I said it, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I know what that is, because it's very well known across America. He said, we've been having a hard time getting food delivered. He said, I shouldn't be surprised to see this, but we weren't in the grocery department. I was in Target. I was in the bathroom supplies. He said, well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, considering how it is with the food. And I was like, yeah, I've noticed how the food is right now. He said, well, I drive for blah, blah, blah foods. And we're having a hard time even getting people to drive the truck. So, no drivers for the truck means no food delivered. So he said because we don't have hardly anybody, less and less food is getting delivered where it needs to go to, and that means the prices have to go up for now, but we're kind of stuck because won't nobody come and get a job. Somebody, please, if you have a truck driver's license, please go get the jobs so that the food source can continue to go forward. But then on the other hand, this is just a reminder to the rest of us why it's important to prep, why it's important to have your stuff stored up and not be living on a day by day. Because if them trucks came to a halt altogether, we'd be in a big pickle. We would all have a problem. Or those who haven't prepped would have a problem, you know. But things like this, I try to be like the ant, preparing for the winter, preparing for the storm that comes. Because if you haven't noticed, we've been having a lot of more storms again. This one's got a little owie on it. I don't know if you're able to see it. I think the lighting is a little bit too bright for you to see that. But this one is a little bit bruised, so I'll make sure to cut that piece off before I deal with the rest of that. So, flooding, water has been flooding in New York. New York? Coming out the sewers in New York. Now, we know that Louisiana's had these problems in the past. Excuse me. Drinking my coffee as the plane goes overhead. A friend from work gave me an ice press, well, coffee press, French press, and I've been enjoying it. I promise you, it has been the best coffee that I have ever had. Which, I like coffee. Or if you're new to this channel, surprise, surprise, I like me some coffee a lot. And so things like this that's going on, the trucks not um, having drivers. There are not enough drivers to ship and transport food from one place to another. And I don't care where you shop at. I really don't care where you shop at. I'm just telling people, get your stuff together. A storm is coming. And I don't mean hurricanes. I'm not talking about the flash floods. The storm I'm talking about that's coming is the storm of change. There's a storm of change coming. People are losing their jobs because they don't want the jab, either for health, religious reasons, whatever. And at first some of the companies will say, yeah, okay, we'll work with that, blah, blah, blah. But some people are losing their jobs. And these are people that we need in their jobs. People that have been working through this whole Rona business, saving lives, providing our medication, caring for people in their homes, they're losing their lives. Tomatillas. People are losing lives, are saving people's lives, and now it's like, thanks, but we're gonna take your job from you. I suggest people have, just like I suggest people prepare with food, prepare with a plan B for work, especially if you work in any kind of health care or health related field, or if you do anything where you may be getting paid through the government. You gotta have a backup plan where you can handle your business yourself. Can you clean houses? Can you cook for somebody? You know, what other kinds of things can you do so that you can stay afloat if things go topsy turvy? Because it looks like things are going topsy turvy. Look at that. Heirloom, straight from the garden. I love it when I can get fresh food. You know, canned food and stuff is good. It's good to stock that up. You know, put it in the cupboards, have it for when you need it. Um, Especially, you know, during hard seasons, and especially with considering how the supply chain is going right now. It's good. It's good to have your canned food. It's good to have your dried beans. And if you got a crock pot or an Instapot or pressure cooker or just a regular pot for the stove, some way to be able to prepare that food. Excellent. So I try to prep. I try to keep canned goods so that I have enough, have them organized, and have them so that we'll go through the cupboards on another day so that you can see the best by date and rotate those cans so that you're going from the closest date to the furthest date so that way you're using things in that order. I also have some information on the true food dates for how long things last because what's on the label um, is meant as if you want it to have that same flavor quality, but there are things that can last beyond that date that's stamped on the label, but I'll explain that more in another video. And I learned that I went through a training as a food handler, um, and so got some good information on that. And I can share that with you all, anyone that's interested, through my email address, peopleandtheirstuff@gmail.com. But anyway, you know, couldn't find hardly any shower curtains at Target. Shower curtains, curtain rods, regular curtains for windows. That's not even food. But there was hardly anything there. Seriously. You know, you go in the food aisles, you look and see, is there a lot of stuff or is it stuff that's just all pushed up close to the front to make it look like everything is full? You take that first thing off, like on my other video, I was saying I was in CVS and I took that first thing off the aisle and there was nothing but a big space back there to try to give that image of fullness, kind of like how a puffer fish blows itself up to protect itself from the other bigger fish to make it look like, hey, I'm bigger than I really am. I'm big and bad. Don't bother me. That is a form of deception, kind of like the deception that's going on around us every day. I'm just saying, from my opinion. And you don't have to take my opinion. You don't have to like it, whatever. I'm just telling you. There's a whole lot of people walking around with blinders on their eyes. Man, this coffee is good. So if you have an opportunity to get out to a farmer's market, go check out some stuff, see if anything is on sale. Some of the farmer's market, in this t-shirt I have on, I don't know if you can see it, it says Beets by GGB. I love beets. And I went to what's called the Green Garden Bakery, where these high school kids, they had been growing beets and they harvest them and they clean them and they cook them down and they grind them up and they prepare the beets in different breads and cupcakes and they're amazing. They don't taste like beets. I promise you. And the price was good. And I met them at the farmers market, and it was so good. That's what I said. I have got to get one of those T-shirts, and so I bought one of their T-shirts so that I can represent them. Farmers markets have some good options, and there's times when you can find things on sale. Sometimes the farmer has too much to harvest. This year the weather has been kind of crazy. We've had times where it was like a total downpour, and other times when there just wasn't anything. In the front yard, the grass is burnt out and dried, and so it's been up and down and crazy. But check out your farmer's market. Maybe you'll find a farmer who had a good spot of rain and was able to get a decent harvest. If so, they may offer some stuff at a discount, especially like collard greens, things like that. I don't know if you're into collard greens. I like collard greens, but that kind of stuff you can see if there's an overage in their stock, in their supplies, and if they're willing to share some of that or give it to you at a discount. And some farmers markets will, like for people that receive public assistance, if you have food stamps or EBT card or whatever, some farmers markets will give you two for the price of one. So you can go to their desk if they have a general desk area for people to go for information and they have their little flyers and stuff out. Ask them what's up. Do you guys offer any kind of specials or deals for people that are of a lower income? They may tell you, because I've seen it happen at some markets. Yeah, if you got $10 worth of food stamps or $10 on your EBT card that you plan on spending at the market, we will exchange that for $20 in farmers market bucks. And then you can go to whichever food vendor you want and get double. You can parse it out and go around to the food vendors and get double. Also, there's another thing that can be done at some markets. And some people think of it more like a hassle because it's like, oh man, then I got to get up and go out and find a market so that I can be able to do this. For people that get naps, not going to bed, going to sleep, and I'm not talking about SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, which is the EBT program. I'm talking about NAPS, which is the Nutritional Assistance Program for senior citizens. People that get that, where they get the commodity box with sometimes stuff that they like, sometimes stuff they don't like. Usually it's like some juice, rice, dried beans, either a couple of things of chili or cans of chicken or cans of tuna, um, that kind of stuff, and a block of commodity cheese, which is actually more like processed cheese now, I think, and not real cheddar cheese the way it used to be, but because I volunteered and helped with that program as well. But for people that get that ongoing through the year, the government has it set up where different locations that are the distribution sites can send out gift certificates or vouchers, food vouchers worth $30. A lot of people, like I said, are like, I don't want to have to go through all that and find a market that has the stuff that I really want, blah, blah, blah. If you go and you hang out at the different markets and go and just check them out, even if you're just walking through, peeping, and hey, that looks good, that looks good. No, not really interested in that place. Then you at least have an idea what's there. So when these food programs say, Here is your gift voucher for $30. You can say, okay, I'm going to go right over there to Midtown Farmers Market or to, Kingsfield or wherever, and I'm going to spend this $30 and you can get $30 in produce, fresh produce that you can take home and eat or share with your family or share with your neighbor. Or you can process it and put some of that stuff up so that you have it for the storm that's coming. Because I promise you, I sound crazy, but I promise you, a storm of change is coming. And it's going to be hard for some folks because some folks are going to be like this, some folks are going to be like this, some folks are going to be like this. And they're not going to want to believe that it's really happening. But you're supposed to prepare while the weather is good, not just get caught up in how good everything is, because the Delta is still out there doing its thing and the numbers are still going up. And I don't know if people are even paying attention to that. I know people going to their concerts and to the fair and all that. And I love concerts. I'm a musician. I love concerts. I love going to the fair. I don't like the crowds. I don't like being elbow to elbow with people. That's just me. I like motorcycles, but I don't haven't been going to any motorcycle festivals. You know, too many people, too much going on, and we have to be wise in our own time for ourselves and our families. If you're gonna be out and do all that stuff, and I'm not telling you to not do nothing because y'all is all grown. Do what you feel like you need to do or you want to do. But I'm telling you, if you're going out and you're doing all of that, it'd be better to put a mask on because you'd be amazed of all the germs and stuff. And I'm not trying to talk like I'm, some crazy germaphobe, but I'm keeping it real. People have been dying over the past year. People have been hospitalized. I had the Rona last year. And when it started off, I just had a little cough, a weird little cough, but it was a little cough. Got tested, and 2 days later, on 9/11/2020, I get the call from the health department that I had COVID. Yeah, I said it. I had COVID last year. Quarantined for 15 days. My health started spiraling downwards in the sense that it felt like there was cement in my chest. Or like that stuff. I don't know if any of you are into like building or construction or home repair or whatever. Like if you're in an old home and there's spaces where there are cracks and things that are opening up, you can spray this foam stuff and it'll feel that crack and make it airtight. That's what it felt like in my lungs. I couldn't go check my mail. People were dropping off food for me and texting me, got food for you. It's outside on the front step. And I was like, Lord have mercy, I'm up on the second floor. I'm going to have to go all the way down to get this food. Couldn't even make it down the 2 flights of stairs. I was suffering and in so much pain. Hospitals were full and didn't have no room. And I stayed home and I suffered it out and prayed and took my vitamins and stuff. And I know people say vitamins don't do anything for you. Well, while I was at home wheezing and gasping for air and I did watch some things that Dr. Fauci mentioned, um, and this was kind of early on into the virus, a few months after it had kind of hit big here. Um, and I did the things that he said on that news conference, and I recovered. And from time to time, breathing will become a little bit more difficult. It's like I'm more sensitive now to whatever is in the atmosphere, but I'm alive. I'm talking to you, and I'm thankful to God for what He's doing in my life. So please be prepared. If you got kids going to school, have masks for those kids. Please have masks for those kids. And tell them to keep them on while they're in school. I understand they got to take it off to eat, but maybe you can get like an eyeglass holder. In fact, hold on a minute. Let me grab one. Sorry about that. If your kids use a mask that's like this, it's easy enough. You can have They can have one part of it stay tied and pull it down to eat and then tie the other part back up, or the opposite. Tie that part up, be able to eat, or if they have the other kind of mask that loops around the ears, those uncomfortable ones, you can get eyeglass holders from the Dollar Tree. If you're not going to make it yourself, which I can show you in another video how to make them yourself, but otherwise, these are available at the Dollar Tree for $1. They can have that on there. They can connect the ends to the elastic on the eyeglass holder so that way they can pull it up, and whenever they want to eat, they can pull it down. The mask is still there. They don't lose their mask, and they've got their protection with them. Simple. In fact, I think I might make a couple of them for my grandkids this week. But, what I'm saying is that there is a change in the climate of the world. I'm not talking about Minneapolis or California or North Carolina or Louisiana, or Georgia. The climate of the world is changing. There are serious food food deserts. I'll just put it like it is. We all understand what a desert is and how dry it is and arid it is. There's nothing that'll grow there except maybe a cactus. The time of the food desert is coming. So people need to be prepared. Have your fruits and your vegetables. Please watch my channel and learn how to do some dehydrating. You can do freeze drying your food. And I thought about getting a freeze dryer and I looked that stuff up. That was expensive. I can't afford that. So, and that will not be freeze dried. If I really want freeze dried food, I'm able to go out and or go online and order some. I can show you. Now, of course, you can get freeze dried eggs. You can get freeze dried sweet potatoes. this emergency essentials, I do like freeze-dried sweet potatoes. Only thing is, you got to boil them until they get really, really soft and good, and then add in your butter, and you're all good. So, and they're a little more spendy. And now it's like supply and demand. The more the people want them, the higher the price is going to go. I was telling people about the solar light bulbs and stuff. They were like, I don't know if I want that or not, blah, 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 blah. Now they're like, solar light bulb sounds good. Well, guess what, boys and girls? The price is going up. There are a few places out there that will give you the solar light bulb for free, but then you're paying a shipping and handling charge that costs as much as what the light bulb would have cost. Yeah. But anyway, Nido from the Nestle company. This is whole milk. My first container I bought of this, I bought off of Amazon, and it was smaller than this. Because I was used to just getting powdered milk in the grocery store and all that business. And had some opportunity to get some through those donations that were left over from different food shelf things. And each type of powdered milk operates a little bit differently. So that's another thing I'd like to do a video on is how they're different in the processing. Because some of them you have to use warm water or room temperature water or cold water or hot water to make them work. So some are good for baked goods and supplies. This, I can add my water room temperature and turn it into regular good old drinking milk. And it doesn't taste funny. It's not lumpy or clumpy. So it's got lots of nutrition in there. Lots of nutrition. So I like this. Found this at Target. I got this at Target for cheaper than what I got the smaller one online. So prepare. Check out your stuff. Make sure that you have what you need. You want to have stuff that is ready to be used right now, but you also want to try to have some things like this. And I'm not saying don't buy your jug of milk. Yeah, you can buy your jug of liquid milk, but I'd say as a backup, it'd be good to have this. And you may want to make sure you've got good water supply or water filtration system just in case. Because if there were an EMP or something and the power goes out and the supplies are down, you know what's going to happen? That affects the water processing plants. So I've kind of talked a long time today. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll be back on later because you know what? I've got some eggplants that I want to do. And we're going to talk about cutting and cooking and, preparing these eggplants and, the difference between a good eggplant and bad eggplant and that kind of stuff. So I hope that you'll be interested in joining me for that and come cook along with me. Until later, just want to leave you with a word. I know I used to say, treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. I used to say that all the time. But right now, what I need to say is if you know there's a storm coming, be wise and prepare for it. If you choose to not prepare for the storm, be ready for the darkness that's coming. Hug your kids, your family, and be good to yourself. Till next time.